Boom, baby.
Duty. Syndicate members, it's Wednesday, which means it's winning on Wednesday. Joe Blurt is in the house. What's up, Joe Blurt?
Joe Blurt. I can't wait till we finally get to the end of this list and be like, and I'm like, how the hell? What is Tony going through in life where he just is like, oop, adding that one? Like, hold on, guys, let me let me add this one to my Excel sheet or my
I was
Google
on, I
sheet
was
for
on a
Joe.
plane ride. I was flying. I don't know which city I was flying to and from, but yeah, I was sitting on a plane and I came with this genius idea that see if I can come up with 53 nicknames for my good friend Joe Frazier Kampert.
Let's get it. Let's get it. What's up, Mr. Ryan? How are you, sir? Good morning, Syndicate members. Hey, real quick, we have an amazing show for you guys today, but please make sure. Oh, that's the StreamYard one. Make sure and let StreamYard view your comments there. So it's the first comment. I just dropped it in the thread. It's also in the description of the video that you are watching. Please make sure and just click that. Literally, it's one click of a button, so then we can see who you are. Again, like Mr. Ryan England, one of our most loyal listeners, I think.
Yes, he
Like
is. He's
really
on
though,
every
I feel
show. We
like
should have him
every
on the
show.
show because
Let's
he's
do
on
it.
it. He's basically a guest, a feature guest every time, feature guest commentator. Like you can always count on him to be there with his good comments and his
Yep.
thumbs up and whatnot.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Appreciate you, Ryan, for sure. Real quick, Mr. Merwin, did I just lose you real quick? I think I lost you, Merwin. I'm gonna go through my weekly win, and then hopefully Merwin can catch back up with us. Man, so my weekly win, I got to go to, and some of y'all, I apologize if you're in the St. Louis area. Like I didn't really tell anybody, but I went to go surprise my brother for his 30th birthday. So he had no idea I was coming to town, and so I went and surprised him, and he was like totally freaking shook. He had no idea I was even there, or it was coming at all. And then we actually got to play lacrosse too. It's the first time anybody knows this. I used to play lacrosse in college too, and then afterward, and some men's league stuff, some box lacrosse, but I haven't played in literally like 4 years. So then I was like, Sam, okay, let's do it, man, lacrosse. And he goes, by the way, it's a double header. So if anybody's ever seen the sport of lacrosse, if you have, shout out. Actually, put that in the comments if you've ever watched the sport of lacrosse. But man, I am literally, my body is still feeling it. I haven't ran like that in a hot minute. So no, that was definitely my weekly win. And looks like we Mr. Merwin might be having some technical difficulties there, but all good because we're gonna keep cruising. Y'all, we have got an amazing guest for you coming on. I've had the ability, or really the honor, to kind of get the shop talk and really just know you for a couple years now, probably 2 to 3 years. And the guy is crazy impressive. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring on our special guest. Put your hand clap emojis in the comments for for my good guy, Mr. Cyrus Jaffery. What's up, brother?
What's happening, big man? Thanks for having me in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How's it going?
Hey, another day in paradise, we call it, man. And we talked about this. Any day above the ground is a good day for me, man. So,
Yes, yes, absolutely, man. Well, if you could, real quick, for anybody that doesn't already know you, which again,
yeah,
you might be living under a rock if you don't, but that, or maybe you're just not as active on Facebook. But I know you just launched some really cool stuff. But before
yeah,
we get into that, just kind of give everybody just your quick intro, just who you are, kind of where you come from, and then your weekly win as well.
you got it. Tony, you're back. What's up, dude?
Yeah, it was weird. We had a power blip in the building, and all of a sudden everything just crashed for a minute. But hey, we're back.
Uh, that's funny. So let's see, Joe. Cyrus Jaffery. A lot of you guys that don't know me, I am Cyrus Jaffery. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. We are an independent agency, and we do a couple other things inside of that as well. We just left 3 years ago from a captive world. Man, it's been a lot of fun on this side. And for me, my weekly win, man. This is going to be cool because I was at the Travelers Championship. Thank you, Travelers, for sending me over.
Sweet.
And I had a drink with Rory McIlroy right on the side. So that's a
Dang.
pretty good weekly win for me just this last weekend. And then I got to share one more. Was we had to fire somebody that wasn't a culture fit. So that was a weekly win as well.
Mm. Ooh, that's good. We're gonna come back to that. Yeah, we're definitely circling back around to that.
Trimming the
Uh,
fat for the win. I like it.
Yeah,
That's
man.
right.
100%. Merwin, what's your weekly win? What you got?
Man,
You've been all over
honestly,
the
it's
place.
well, yeah, it's not traveling. Probably if I had one weekly win, I have no travel this week, which has been nice. But honestly, it's been our YouTube channel, Grace's YouTube channel specifically that we have for Avila. It is blowing up, and she's getting inbound phone calls. She's actually had one. I want to say she's had one every day this week at least. Somebody
Wow.
just saw her on YouTube and called her up and was like, "Hey, I need some help," and a sale pretty much ready to go every time. So it's been 2 years in the making of putting out content on YouTube, getting it out there, and now it is truly paying off. Her channel's really taking off. So
That's awesome.
subscribers are
Awesome.
popping in daily, and we're getting inbound phone traffic from it. I mean, that's the
Shout
holy
out, shout
grail,
out,
right? Isn't that what we're
Grace.
looking for?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's freaking awesome. And I know she's been. I can't. Last time we talked about it, I was amazed at how much freaking content she had put out there. Like you guys got all kinds of content out there. So definitely shout out to Grace. Good work. Shout out to you, Mr. Merwin. I know you definitely helped facilitate that, and you've learned
Yeah,
a few
yeah.
things along the way too. So
Be happy to show off our little strategy that we have that works really well for us. We get about 15 pieces of content out of every single Facebook Live that we do. And that's
that's
all she
awesome.
has to do is record a Facebook Live, and then we have a media manager that runs with it from there.
Good, good. Well, so since we're talking about content and stuff, we're going to circle back. I want to circle back around to your metrics that we were talking about backstage, Cyrus. But as far as content goes, Cyrus, I know you're kind of starting to do some more stuff in that space and have been. Can you kind of shed some light just on? I know you just started the podcast and really, which I love it. I guess like, hey, great minds think alike, right? Like we're winning on Wednesday, you're win the day. Like let's
Yeah,
freaking get it because it's all about winning. Where did
that's
that
right.
come from for you? Like what caused you to want to launch that and kick that off?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think the idea behind it was that I truly, man, I feel like I'm in this industry to help some people. And our industry, as you guys know, man, there's a lot of people that not that they don't know what they're doing, they just haven't figured it out, I guess, right? And I haven't figured it out either. You haven't either. But there are some things that I have done that I'm like, man, instead of keeping this in a box, let's help our industry, man. Let's figure it a way. Why is there a producer in Texas writing 40K a week and a producer in Ohio only writing $1,000 in premium a week? Obviously, premiums
Mm,
are differentiated between the two states, but what are some other metrics that these guys are doing? What are some is it attitude? Is it work ethic? Is it more calls? I really wanted to shed some light on what other people are doing that are super successful and getting that back over to the community of insurance producers in general. There's a lot of insurance um, agency podcasts around, I feel like, that geared
mm-hmm.
towards insurance agents. I don't feel like there's a ton that's geared just towards producers. We have a lot more producers in our industry than agency owners, right? And agency
Right.
owners are not as involved on a day-to-day basis. And for me, man, I left my captive agency because I wanted to help more people. You couldn't do a podcast over there. You couldn't do a lot of cool things that I'm doing now over there. So now that I'm on this side, man, my mission has turned into how can I give back to this industry that's given me back tenfold. So that was the idea behind it, how we got started. The name, I always talk about win the day with my kids. Like, dude, we wake up, I go to their room, like, let's win the day. And I was talking to my wife. I said, man, I'm coming up with this podcast a year and a half ago, whatever, 2 years ago. And I'm like, I can't figure out the name. I had 3 or 4 minds. He goes, you talk about win the day all the time. Why would you have any other name behind it? So my wife came up with it. It's the saying that I've been saying every day. So that's the name behind it, and then the reasoning behind it.
Awesome. Awesome. So wait, so you've had win the day going for what, a year now? Over a year?
About it, so when I first started, Win the Day was more like I wanted to bring on top entrepreneurs, um, in Nebraska and surrounding areas where I'm from because I wanted to
Yep.
help my community first.
Mm,
And as we got on, we brought on some great investors. We brought on some good entrepreneurs. We brought on some really, really big, the mayor and some of these big people in town. And Nebraska is pretty big. But I'm like, man, like I need to make an impact. And I can't make an impact just making it about Nebraska. So about community leaders. And then as I was listening to a lot of podcasts, you guys have a podcast, a lot of these other podcasts that I've been listening to on the insurance industry. I just didn't feel like there was one that was geared towards producers. And my producers always ask me, they're like, what can we do? What other things can we do? Like we read one book a month here as a team. We talk about culture. We talk about all this stuff. But I'm like, everything I know on the insurance side, I've learned from somebody else.
yeah.
But I feel like there's not an easier way for somebody to just go and find that content somewhere, if that makes sense. So I changed it to the insurance specific about 6 months ago.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Because I've just now more recently started seeing you post it out there.
Correct.
I saw that you just brought on Benito as your co-host, I
Yep.
think, too,
Yep.
which is
Benito
awesome.
and Kilgo.
Okay. Oh, and
Yeah.
Kilgo. Okay. So
Yep. We're
two
gonna have
two
a
freaking
three.
baller agents. They're
Yeah.
they're doing amazing things too, man.
That's it.
Well, that's awesome. And I think, we're living in, and I hate to say this, Tony, I know I'm dating you a bit, but, back when Tony first started, there wasn't even the capability to get the information to people like there is today. Right. And it's
No.
it's a big part of our business model is we're living in this virtual world, man, where resources are plentiful, access is, I mean, you can get anything, right? And so,
Yeah.
but I think you're spot on with the producer part too,
Yeah.
which Tony can
Closest
probably
we
say
had
more
to
about.
stuff like this when I was new in the business, right? I'll say my first 5 years even, but especially those first 2 years, which were so crucial. The closest thing we had was a conference call or an actual phone call, right? Where you have to dial in a phone number and you have a code and you're on this conference call. Or it was like a newsletter, and email was just barely starting to circulate newsletters around that time. Like that was kind of just starting to become a thing where you could send out a mass email to people and kind of get everybody on board with what's going on. And that was it. The only other
Yeah.
way was to travel and meet in one location and do that, which obviously if geography becomes an issue, that's not an option for everybody, right? If you're a new agent, you don't have the ability to, come jump on a plane and fly halfway across the country to get in a room with someone and learn, because you're barely making ends meet if you're a brand new guy sometimes. So what the internet has given us, it's incumbent upon us to take it, just like you said, and get that information out to the agents so we can help them so much quicker now. People can get in this business and really take off at a much faster rate because of the internet, because of technology. Now, again, it's on us to make sure that we steward that properly and get them the right information to help them
Right.
out.
Ooh,
So,
that's important, right? Making
and it's
sure that we're not
working. We can
spewing the
see that it's
wrong
happening.
information. Yeah, anybody can talk on the internet, right? Just hopefully it's the right stuff.
Absolutely.
That's good. That's good. Well, real quick, so let's pivot because we're talking about win the day. Cyrus, I know we talked very briefly backstage that you
Yeah.
have some metrics that it's like, hey man, every single day, like
Correct.
24/7, like take us through those metrics, right? And
Yeah.
really kind of hash that out. Like, where did that even come from too? I love hearing kind of where you're like creating stuff from and like where your mindset was at when you
Yeah.
started it.
For sure. For me, it's generic, man. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, like I know that or I do that," but I feel like a lot of people have these things in their mind, but maybe they just don't have found a way to execute it, I guess, right? So for me, it's four things, man, and it's cliche, but number one is God, man. So thanking God on a daily basis is, man, it's so important for like every time I get in my car and I drive to come to work, I take 5 minutes, man, thank Him for the good times, the bad times, because even that adversity, man, you don't know how much that's teaching you. You just don't, man. There's so
Right.
much lesson in adversity that you have no idea, but you're just mad at God for adversity. No, dude, He only gives adversity to people that can handle it, right? Most of the time. So I take that, man. I thank Him for all the good stuff. But for me, it's because I've had near death experiences with it. So I'm a refugee from Afghanistan. It's early '90s. I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah, please.
It's early '90s, and the Taliban came and invaded Afghanistan. My dad worked for the military, and we're in a house hanging out. Dude, my mom made dinner, and I'm 2 years old at this time, and and a rocket hit our house. We got bombed. Like our house literally got bombed, and I'm alive, dude. I had some shells in my head, and then we escape Afghanistan to get away, obviously. So we get in a helicopter and we're leaving. As my mom tells me this story, and I'm writing a book about this whole experience,
Okay, I was
and I'm
about to say
leaving.
book.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of it, man. I'm about probably 6 months away from this whole journey coming all together, and
Wow.
he's interviewing a lot of cool people, and I think it'd be a fun book. But we're escaping in a helicopter, and these Taliban's are literally firing at us with bombs to hit our helicopter. And my mom was like, you could see like maybe almost hitting the side of the helicopter and this side, but somehow, man, I made it to Pakistan where we escaped, and I'm alive, right? So, and then we
Wow.
in 2002, when I was 14 years old, we got as refugees, we got the opportunity to come to the U.S. No English, nothing whatsoever. It's 2002. Obviously, you guys know what happened in 2001.
Mm.
Obviously, so the 9/11 thing. So we had some rough times, man, in a high school with 99.9% in Denver, of white people, and I have no English
Mm.
whatsoever. I mean, we had some tough times. But all that was teaching me a lesson, and I didn't know that until now. That hey, God does these things and gives you adversity because He wants you to learn from it, and then as you go on, you teach other people how to become a better version of yourself on a daily basis. So to me, thanking God is definitely number one on a daily basis. I have
Wow.
these four things written in my mirror, and I got this from Ed Milet. I have it written in my mirror, and I literally look at it every day, dude, 4 or 5 times a day. Number one says, thank God. Number two is my wife, man. Like we've been together for 10, 12 years, married, 3 kids, five and under. It's a shit show at our house, right? So, but dude, she's a beast. So for me, it's kiss her goodnight. As if you have 3 kids, a lot of you guys do, you understand that when you have 3 kids and your wife stays home on a daily basis with all those 3 kids, she's a maniac, first of all, for doing it, but she does, and she's a rock star. She works an average 98 hours a week is what statistics say they work versus my 35 hours a week. So I'm complaining. So kissing her goodnight was number two for me. Number three is I have this written down, man. 4,262 days left with my daughter in my house. At 18,
Mm,
she's gonna leave. She's gonna leave for school. So for me, it's 5 to 6 hours a day. I never work past 4:30. Man, I'm home. I'm spending 5 to 6 hours with my kids, spending that quality time. Because I mean, Tony, I'm not sure if you have kids, but some of these people that have kids that are grown up, everybody says it's blink of an eye and it's gone. Well,
right.
don't let it be blink of an eye, dude. Like soak in the moments. Spend time with them. It's still gonna be blink of an eye, but I'm okay with, when she's 18 and she's leaving, say, man, I did all I could to be the best father I could.
Yep.
I can't help the rest, right? Our relationship is great because of it. So that's number three. And then number four, I have it written down. It says revenue 3 million, which is my fourth child, which is our office, and then culture. So that's our number four for the business. So there's a little bit of business, and then my family, and then God. So I have four of those things, those metrics, and then inside of those, obviously, there's 2, 3 things that you got to do on a daily basis. But if I hit those four things, and I have to look myself in the
In the
mirror
mirror.
saying,
Yep.
man, I didn't kiss my wife goodnight, or I didn't spend time with my kids, or my son was being naughty and I was being really rude to him or mean to him, whatever that is. I'm like, it's okay, man. It's okay. There's only 4,000 days left, 4,262. So yeah, those are four metrics, man. So
It's good. Dang,
Love it.
dude, I did not know. I did not know that
yeah,
about your story or anything. So one, like, thank you for sharing that. Wow, like, talk about a freaking testimony, dude. So okay, so let's go back to how the hell did you get into insurance? Okay, so like
yeah.
that's what I want to know. It's like
The-
what was that light bulb of like, hey, and not just get into insurance, like obviously,
yeah,
how you're set up, what you're doing for agents and all that good stuff. Like, dude, how? Like I got
yeah,
to know this now coming from I didn't
yeah.
know that was your backstory to
Sure.
now, man. That's amazing.
Dude, it's again, it goes back to, dude, adversity, man. I tell you, I was I came to Colorado, Denver. Went to high school there for a year. My aunt lived in Nebraska, moved to Nebraska, but I played high school soccer because my dad. We would always go on top of. We had like 2 or 3 floors in Pakistan where we lived, and you would play. You'd kick the ball around. My dad loved soccer, so I always kicked the ball around. So when I came here, I'm like, man, I watched some people play soccer. So I just got on the soccer team. I'm like, man, I got to do something, right? So I stumbled my way through getting just a tryout or whatever, right? So played on JV, and I was a pretty fast kid, and pretty athletic, and made it varsity that first year, man. And I literally had no idea what offsides was. Like I was offside like 9 times on my first game. And I kept going to my coach. I'm like, what's an offside? He goes, you can't be the last person to touch the ball closer
Yeah.
to their goalie. I'm like, oh, okay. But I scored 4 goals because I was so fast. So I'm like, well, it is what it is, right? So um, got out of high school, went to Nebraska Wesleyan here in Nebraska College. And right when I was getting out, man. So now I played in high school. I played college soccer. I made a lot of friends because of soccer, right? It made it
Yep.
made it a lot easier for me. I think if it wasn't for soccer, I don't think I'd be in sales, and I don't think I'd be as successful as I am, because it teaches you, like, on a daily basis, that you're gonna lose. You got to get back up, right? On a
Mm,
daily basis
good.
playing soccer. So, and teamwork and all that stuff, right? Leading. I was a leader. I was a captain in high school, captain in college. So when I left, I was like, okay, so what am I really good at? I was basically having a heart to heart moment. I went to law school for a semester. It wasn't for me. Being from Afghanistan, man, it's kind of like a Pakistan, India, Afghanistan. Your parents always want you to be either a doctor or a lawyer, and if you're not one of those two, dude, you didn't make it in life, right?
Mm.
And I was like, well, I'm not going to be a doctor because I took biology my freshman year and I literally understand nothing about it. Number two, I went to law school and I was like, I hate this, man. I can't do this. And then so number three, man, it was like, all right, I got to figure out, like, I'm good at sales. I know a lot of people. Then I said, okay, let's find a brand. I said, let's find a brand that will make it really easy for me to sell because I'm really good at selling. I know a lot of people, blah, blah, blah. So it was Wells Fargo and State Farm had the most commercials at that time. So I said, all right, I'm going to pick one of those two because it'll be easier for me to sell it. Everybody needs banking and everybody needs insurance. Called State Farm. They said, nah, you're not good enough, whatever. I said, okay, no worries. Got into Wells Fargo, mortgage lender. I started with a teller, personal banker, mortgage lender, all that stuff in 4 years. And then I met my wife. I go to meet their parents. I walk into their house and I look at this house. I'm like, man, that's a nice house. I was like, what do you do for a living? He goes, I'm a State Farm agent. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to be a State Farm agent now. So, and then I went and applied for the second time, got denied again. And then I tried for the third time because I really wanted to do it, man. It's something
Yep.
that, and I knew that like I was going to get denied because I've been denied all my life, a lot of things that I had to accomplish because of it. So I just kept trying. And then I became an agent in 2013 with the farm.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And then how long was your stint with them?
I was there for 6 years. So
6 years? Okay.
again, when I left, some of you guys know State Farm. There's President's Club and Chairman's Circle, all this stuff, right? I left like when we were President's Club agents, and everybody thought I was the craziest guy in the world. But I'm like, man, I truly can't help enough people because I thought about it. I said, State Farm, Allstate, all these places. I was like, I can probably have 3,000 households, maybe 3,500 households. I mean, no, it's for a lot of people. I'm not saying it's not for a lot of people, man. They're great
Yep.
companies. I learned. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I'm at. Value. If I
Right.
know how to sell value, man, and you're on the indie channel, my God, man, you're gonna knock it out of the park because now you have the price, you got the value, you're gonna be incredible. So I've got a lot of respect for them. But I left in 2019, man, right after we're at the top of where we needed to be, and we left in 2019. May 2019 is when we left, came on the indie channel. So now 3 years in.
Wow. Wow, dude. And so you've only been on the indie side for, gosh, that's crazy. I for some reason was thinking you've been indie for longer,
Yeah.
just with everything you've been able to build within your business. Dang, dude, I'm still just like that story, bro. Like that's, but I think I loved what you said about the sports piece of that because I
Correct.
think that's a lot of where I come from too. Like I grew up
Yeah.
very, and I think that's even where like the competitiveness comes from too. Like the we'll call it the yearning to win
Yeah.
too, right? And just as long as you're not stepping on everybody on your way on your way
100%.
up, right?
Yeah.
But I was definitely I was big on that for basketball, for lacrosse.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love that, dude. And your stories, like that still is just I'm mind blown by that whole like, man, your house got hit by a rocket, dude.
Exactly.
Like what? And now, hey, wow, freaking
Yeah.
how many years later? Now you're insuring houses,
Yeah.
man. That's amazing,
Yeah.
dude.
It's been a, it's been a,
Um,
it's been a crazy ride, man.
how many brothers do you have,
Dude,
or
our
how many
culture,
siblings do you have? I should
uh,
just say. Let's open it up.
our culture is pretty funny, man. Like you meet somebody for maybe like, I don't know, 2 months, and they're like, "Oh, he's my brother." I'm like, "Dude, we just met 2 months ago. Like, you're not my brother," you know. But I have I had four brothers. One passed away very early in Pakistan in 1995, so a long time ago. So I had four brothers. Now I have three of them left. Um, and then two of them work for me. One of them is our president of operations, and then the other one's the vice president of sales. And then I have a sister as well who works for us as well. My wife's the principal of the agency, either though she hasn't been here in 10 years. Um, but yeah, so we pretty much have like all of our families here, man. It's yeah, both of my brothers are like my right hand and left hand. So
Bobby,
it's been a
right?
lot of
Bobby's
fun.
one of them.
Yep.
Yep.
Bobby is incredible, man. I got him at 16 years old. He was at Runza, and he's like, man, like I hate Runza. I'm like, why don't you just come make cold calls for me? Now he's 24 years old. Man, he's ahead of me by far at 24 years old. Like he got a Tesla at 23. He bought two rental properties at 23. I'm like, man, good for you.
Right.
Good for you, you know.
That's good. That's
Awesome.
good, man.
Nice work. What would you say was your biggest challenge when you flipped to going independent?
Biggest challenge by far was I didn't have a lot of help, man, and which is I didn't have a lot of help. I didn't have, like, nowadays, like, we have a little network as well, just like Joe does, and it honestly started because a lot of these people were like, what? I can't, because, like, back, like, dude, like 3-4 years ago, like, when you left State Farm, like, that was a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
and Allstate and American families still are different, but Allstate you could sell, Farmers you could sell, State Farm you can't sell. So, like, when I left, man, it was a big deal. So the biggest challenge was we didn't have a lot of help, and it was us figuring it out. It was May 9th, 2019. My kid was born March of 2019, and he was 2 months old. And I'm like, man, we got to go. We planned it for a year, and I planned it to where, like, as soon as my son was born, where I was getting at least 5 hours of sleep. Like, I was out. So we left, but the biggest challenge was I brought all of my team members. I think we had like 7 at that time.
Okay.
2 of them said, I don't want to be a part of it, left. I brought the other 5. We kept the location, phone number, everything. And we went direct with a lot of carriers, but we went with an aggregator out of Minnesota, just to kind of get us going fast, because I needed to produce to pay for everybody, because I had to come up with all that myself, right? Because I was the only person.
Yep.
So we had to get going. Like May 10th, man, we were writing policies. Like, we were live. Like, let's go, right? But the biggest challenge was we had no idea what we were doing, and we had nobody to hold our hand. This aggregator did not. We never talked to them, like, ever.
Right.
So we had to figure out easy links. We had to figure out all the carriers and the guidelines. And I mean, I have a lot of experience in our office, so it was a little bit easier. But, like, man, I can't tell you how much easier it is now that you have a lot of people like Joe and that basically holds your hand and says, hey, man, like, this is the mistake I made. These are the mistakes I made. It will save you 6 months. Like, just follow this. Like, that probably was the hardest, because I spent so much money on things that I shouldn't have spent money on. And I took so much time to spend on things that didn't matter looking back, So that was definitely my biggest challenge.
Yep.
Such as what you spend your money on you shouldn't have, for example.
Yeah, dude. That when you're
He starts laughing.
I don't know if you're talking about
Yeah.
material stuff or if you're talking
Yeah.
about in the business things. I assume you're talking about in the business.
Like, dude, when you're starting, you don't need to worry about having a nice office. You don't need to worry about having a big sign. You don't need to worry about having the nicest and all this stuff, right? It doesn't matter, man. Like, think about where Amazon started. Think about where Google started. Think about all these places, man. They were in a basement, dude. Like,
Right.
it's okay to be, and I'm still in, like, dude, I've got 25 employees and 2,700 square feet today. And we're going to be a 3 million revenue agency. Like, we're not small by any means, but we're not huge either. But, like, I don't care about that stuff, right? Timing's got to be right and all that stuff. So I spend money on making things, because we come from State Farm, and I had to be when clients walk in, things had to be correct. People had to be dressed right and all this stuff. And that mentality, man, that's all false. Like, dude, nobody cares anymore. COVID, to me, was the best thing that's ever happened to our agency. And I don't say this in, like, just on the business side. A lot of people got affected by COVID. I don't mean to say COVID wasn't a thing or anything, but it was the best thing that happened to us, because nobody came in, dude. We locked our doors, man, and we went to work. Like, it didn't matter if the place looked nice, if we had all the energy drinks and all the food and the Red Bull and all that stuff, because I provide all that now for our staff. But, like, none of that stuff mattered. We had black coffee and we went to work. We didn't spend money on marketing. We didn't spend money on anything other than going and finding the business. Leave everything alone. Would and looking back, if I start back again today, man, I'd be in a hole in a wall with all my staff. I'd keep the metrics like it is right now, what we do to make sure what everybody is doing on an hourly basis, because it's very important to me. I got to keep them accountable. Other than that, nothing else matters.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's super important.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's even me and Tony have talked about even trying to get some, like, maybe like if anybody's been to my office, like, it ain't anything pretty. Like, I've got
7-Eleven at 3 a.m.
Yeah. The 7 at Carruthers. I don't know if you saw that, Cyrus. Carruthers was on here. His episode will be going on YouTube here pretty soon. And I'm like, man, all y'all got some nice backdrops and stuff. He
Uh-huh.
goes, dude, Kampert, you look like you're at 7-Eleven at 3 a.m., bro.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, like savage.
Hey, that's okay though, bro. That's
Right.
okay though, because if we don't
Yeah.
go through these times, when we're at the Carruthers level, where we are at the level where we want to be, right? Whatever it is, maybe yours is 100 million agency, 50, whatever that is, 10 million, 5 million. When you're there though, man, it will just be a lot better because you're gonna remember the times, man. I'm gonna look
Right.
at pictures and be like, what the hell was I wearing? What the hell was my office doing? Why was I in a good podcast? One of the biggest, this thing we got going on right now, alive. I'm like, why the hell did I have this background? But all this stuff is something that you can look back on and say, man, times were tough, but
Yep.
it's okay. It's
Yep.
okay.
Absolutely.
Teaches you a lesson.
Danielle Kunkel Roberts, who's a superstar in the Medicare life and health space, she talks about that quite a bit when she does talks, and she was at the NAHU conference talking about that. Like when you're new, when you're younger, right, and not younger in age, younger in the business, and you're just getting going. When it comes to content, things of that nature, but pretty much everything that she said is wrapped into what we're talking about here. But it says, "Hello."
Yeah, we can hear you. We just can't.
Okay. Wow. My camera's bouncing for some reason. But anyway, she says that don't be afraid to put out B- work. Don't be afraid to put out B- work. And she was really talking about content in a lot of ways because, like, if you go back and you look at her YouTube channel now, the videos are phenomenal. She got a beautiful backdrop. You can tell she's spending a lot of money on camera, editing, all of those details. And then, but if you go back and you look at some of her old videos, oh my God, they're terrible.
Right.
Same thing with like our buddy Cody Askins. Like if you look at some of his very first videos, they are absolutely atrocious looking, right?
They're
But then
1,000
now you
times
look at
different.
what he's doing, and it's
Right.
absolutely ridiculous. So be able to put out quote on B- work when it comes to your content, right? Or working from a B- location, right? I'm working in a 7-Eleven at 3 a.m. or whatever it is. As you're growing, because eventually you will be able to show off and go, look at my office now. It's A+. I'm going to bring
100%.
people in and I'm going to be able to impress them. My office is now a recruiting item for me. I can use it to bring people in. They're like, wow, I want to work with this guy because I can see the success right there and so forth. So
That's
exactly on point with what you just said there, Cyrus.
That's funny, Tony, because I came in. We have a 9:00 meeting every day. Everybody's on. We have people like in some W-2 employees in Texas, El Salvador, a bunch of other places, but everybody's live on a video. And I go into my office, it's too loud. I go into my Ahmad's office, my brother's office, it's too loud. I'm like, God dang it! So I had to come all the way in the back. I'm in our trucking specialist's office in the back over here that just got hired, and there's 2 other people here. So it is what it is, man. You got to do work. The environment is just a second, and then just the first thing comes.
Then
You got to put in work.
I wanted to ask you this, right? So you're saying, so especially when COVID hit and everything, and I think our business is definitely right there with you. And I think really COVID woke some people up on your business models, right? And for us, we've always been telesales, selling non-resident, like all over so like it really. Honestly, we saw nothing but people had more time to talk to us, and we had some insane growth when that first happened, right? Now, I'm curious to see because I know you guys are I mean, you got 25 freaking people in there. You're sitting in your transportation specialist office. Let's talk about how when you're winning the day, right? Like, and you're just let's get to work. Where are you going to get to work? Where you said find the business, like where it has been kind of y'all's bread and butter. What would you suggest maybe to a newer agent? Who's like, you know what? I don't need the office. I don't need whatever. I'm just ready to get to work and go find that business.
100%. I think the biggest thing a lot of insurance agents and producers make a mistake on is just call everybody. Everybody ain't for you. I think if you don't know who your ideal client is, you're gonna just circle and circle and circle and circle. I'll tell you a story, man. 2014 came around. State Farm says, dude, go buy a bunch of leads and just write a lot of auto insurance. I'm like, great, cool. Bought a bunch of leads, write a lot of auto insurance, lots of auto insurance. Hey, how you get your business is how you're going to lose it. I mean, that's just bottom line. It's just how it's going to happen, man. Like shoppers are always going to shop until you turn them into something different. So did all that. 2015 came around, did a ton of autos again. I said, okay, listen, man, like I'm calling this auto lead that 4, 5, 6, 7 other agents are calling. I said, that's not our ideal client, and that's not something that is sustainable for us, right? I said, I said, okay, let's go back. Let's strategize. Who's our ideal client for us? it was, and this was because this was a captive agent's perfect client, and this is Indy's
Right.
perfect client as well. But where I was at, this was their perfect client, and I figured it out. It was a homeowner because they have two vehicles, an umbrella, personal articles policy, a life insurance, couple of them for husband and wife, because that gets you 8 or 9 different policies, right?
Yep.
And they love that. It's the Wells Fargo philosophy, man. Like if they have a debit card, credit card, line of credit, all that stuff, like I'm with Wells Fargo, man. I want to leave them really bad because I want to support a small bank here, but
Mhm.
it's a nightmare because I have everything with them, man. So like I'm having such a hard time leaving. So same philosophy. It was like, okay, if you get somebody that you have all this stuff, they did so State Farm, they did disability, they did health, they did life, they did mutual funds and all this stuff. So
Loans.
I
Yeah.
had, yeah, I literally had clients, man, that had their disability, their health insurance, their life insurance, their mutual funds, their auto, their home, their umbrella. Like they ain't leaving, man. Like it's very hard to get those people to leave. So I figured out what my ideal client was. It was a homeowner. It was my ideal client. And then I went back and I said, let's find our ideal product, dude, because you can't be the best in all these things.
Yep.
Dude, we focus on one product, and it's been since 2015, and it's homeowners insurance, and that's all we do. Like we don't, obviously auto comes with it, and you got a
Yep.
multi-line and add umbrella and all that stuff. We lead by umbrella. We actually follow Kilgo's model of
Kilgo's.
leading by umbrella because that's an amazing way to do it. It's the right thing to do for the client. But for us, we found out our ideal for we found our ideal client in 2015, which was a homeowner. And then now going back, it's 2022 now. It's still the same thing. We focus on one product. So I know all 15 of my producers, man, they wake up, they put their foot on the ground as soon as they wake up. They say, it's going to be a great freaking day. They come to the office and they sell homeowners insurance, right? And then so now I found out my ideal client. I found out my ideal product. Now where the hell do I go get it, right? And where you go get it from is mortgage officers and real estate agents and financial advisors. Those are going to be your top 3 people, in my opinion, that are going to send you a ton of these business. So now we know where it comes from, what it is, right, and what we're selling. And then we went on and started building those networking relationships in 2015 with a lot of mortgage lenders and real estate agents. And now we insure in my actual agency that my brothers run for me. We
Yep.
probably insure about 500 real estate agents and mortgage officers now.
Wow.
And then so that's our model is let's focus on insuring them first. That was always our model. If you insure them, they see how you're doing business and your customer service, dude. We've got, like, if you call our office one time, Joe, like you'll see that, like, from the way we answer phones is going to be completely different than any other insurance agency, because what we figured out was, like, you have to be different in this business in some shape or form, because you can't, there's too many of us. There's 6
Right.
insurance people on my street here within a mile. You can't be doing what everybody else is doing. The way you answer phone, the way you treat clients, the way you onboard people, the way you talk to them, all that stuff's got to be different. Or listen, insurance, you're going to make money. You're going to just be, even an average insurance agent makes pretty decent money if you're in it for 5 years, right? We all know that you're going to make money. But to do what we want to do and what you two want to do and what a lot of these people that are logging on right now, what they want to do, you got to be different. And that's what we have been trying to do for the last 7 years.
Yep. Dang.
I don't disagree with you at all. Where would you say an agent should focus on being different? Like if
Yeah.
you said there's 3 specific places in your business that you really need to learn to differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
What are those 3 spaces that are going to separate you from the competition?
Are you talking about the product side, carrier side, or just relationship side? Doesn't matter.
You tell me. You tell me.
Yeah.
Like if what are the
Yeah.
first 3 spots you're like, hey, we're going to do these 3 things different than everybody else?
Yep. So for me, man, we do a golf. This is small, man, but we do a golf tournament, and it's invite only for all of our referral partners. It's just for referral partners, real estate agents. We've been doing it for 7 years. And we throw a big old concert afterwards, a free concert. We got one of the biggest bands here in Nebraska that plays it. It's special. It's invite only. It brands us. It makes us different. We do $1 million shot for all those people. People get excited. I think one of the biggest things people don't do is build your own brand. So where you want to be different is you want to build your own brand. And if you don't do that, it's going to be really hard. So how do you build your own brand? It's pretty simple, man. For me, it started with a small freaking logo, right? You got to have something that differentiates you from other people. You can't have a State Farm hat and try to be different because people are going to think of you as State Farm. You can't wear, I mean, it's just an Amazon hat, right? You inside of Amazon, those people have to be different. So we have to be different. We have to go find the business, build a relationship differently. For me, I never was one of those guys that wanted to build a relationship and move on from it. I was always one of those guys that if I build a relationship with this mortgage lender and we insure them, I'm going to know what their daughter's birthday is. I'm going to know what their son's birthday is. I'm going to know when their anniversary is, because what I'm going to do then is, dude, listen, if somebody sends me a birthday card, which a lot of people do on my birthday now, it's pretty common, a handwritten note from advisors and friends. I'm like, cool, man, that's great. But if somebody sends my daughter a happy birthday,
Right.
game over, man. Like, where do I sign? Because that's being different, right? Like, that's something that hits inside of me because I'm a family man first, man. And if somebody does that for my daughter, for my kid, for my wife, man, game over. It's a game changer for me. So you got to figure out, if mortgage lenders and real estate agents are your people, okay, how are you going to build a relationship with them? Because you can't have 2 meetings with them and they expect them to send you business.
Mhm.
Some people do that. Some people say, well, how about I give you whatever, $100 or pay for marketing, whatever that is. That's great, but somebody else is going to come and spend more money than you, and you're going to lose that relationship. So we have a person inside of our office. She is called the concierge. So she's literally in charge of all of our relationships. She looks at every 2 months. She looks at every person that has sent us business. They have to send us at least 5. If they have sent
Yeah.
us 5 pieces of business in the last 2 months, she tries to touch base with them on a weekly basis. She just stops at their office, drop off stuff. She sends them a handwritten note cards. We know their date of births. We know their kids' date of births, their wife's date of births. Like, so we do things that nobody else in our market's doing, because you don't need 30 real estate agents and mortgage officers. Dude, you have 7 is a pretty good number, I think. If you have 7 really good ones that you're truly building relationship with and you're really spending a little bit of time on and differentiating yourself, you're going to be fine. You don't need 30 of them. A lot of people have 20. Then they say, oh, well, I don't have time now. Well, you don't have time because you have 20. You can't you can't do 20, right? I mean, I
Right.
can't handle 25 W2 employees. I just can't. I know I can handle 5. So I have 4 leaders that are handling 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 because I know my number. That's how many I can handle.
Yep. That's good. That's good. I didn't ever think of, so obviously, a lot of people on the PNC side, it's very common that, hey, go for, real the lenders and all that. But what a lot of people are not doing, which I love that you did this, which I actually did this not even thinking about it, but
Yeah.
it's freaking genius, is actually insuring them. Like
All
one of
right.
my top real estate, one of our top realtors, we go to their client appreciation, all this stuff. Like we send business back and forth. Well, it's because they're my clients too, right? And so it's just a different type of relationship that, hey, when snowpocalypse happened,
Yeah.
and I've got a dedicated service person that's calling out on them, making sure they're okay. Turns out they went through a
Correct.
total loss. Okay, now we're setting the expectation for claims and all this. Well, guess who got more business literally within a month once they got new cars and a new roof? It's like, hey, man, Joe hooked us up, which I really didn't.
Yeah.
It was the carrier, right? But I haven't ever seen really agents attacking it that way, like where they're just going to try and get referrals. They're not actually going to actually like, hey, can I quote your stuff?
Yeah.
Like that's
Well,
that's pretty smart.
why not ask, right? If you don't ask, you're never gonna get it, right?
True.
And I'm never one of those guys that asks, dude. Like I truly, man, out of those like whatever, however many real estate agents, every one of them have asked us because I'm never one of those guys. I ask in different ways, right? So like for me, I'm not a straight up like I have some people in our office that like are very good at like, hey, like we need to get this done today. I'm not one of those guys. I've never been. I haven't sold for a couple of years, so for me, it's just a relationship, being a CEO of the organization now. But when I was selling, man, like for me, it was like, hey, man, like here. I go into most of the times it's like a golf course, it's like an event, it's like at lunch or and I hate lunch actually. It's mostly just coffee or happy hours. It's mostly around those times, and if you're top of mind, these listen, rates have gone up significantly in the last 3 years. Agents are messing up left and right. Captive agents, independent agents, everybody messes up. Every consumer is going to have a triggering point, a life event where they're going to be mad at their agent for whatever reason. That's the time where you want to make sure you're top of mind, right?
Yep.
And you're not going to be top of mind if you're not in touch with them on a weekly, couple weeks basis, right? Because somebody else is going to be top of mind. So for me, all of our social media, everything that we do is geared towards be top of mind to where they ask you for business. Because if they ask you for business, I know my statistics say that I'm going to close 92% of that business on the indie channel because they have asked for it first, which is
Yep.
a key ingredient versus you asking. They're not ready. They're not going to put enough time and effort to look at all their stuff and send you everything. That they're just not ready to pull the trigger. But when they're ready to pull the trigger is when they have asked for it. I've done the math on this, man, and you can fight me on it, but it's true.
You can
You're
fight
spot
me.
on. You were spot on. If that customer, I mean, that's the ultimate buying sign is when your customer, your client is calling you and they're asking for you to solve that problem for them.
100%. So
Where everybody
so
wants
I
to
tell
be.
you, I tell you the story real quick. So our closing ratio at Jaffery Insurance, which is my own agent, which is my agency, is almost 82.6% is what we close of. And here's why. And I have five producers that work just for Jaffery. The reason why is because every lead comes to us, calls us. We never call them. It's always they call us. Versus I own 3 or 4 other agencies, which is with different. Anyways, long story short, those guys have to call out.
Yep.
So they're like, well, why is my conversion ratio 42% or 37% with the other agency and yours is 82? So every producer that comes into our world, they want to be under Jaffery because that's where they know they're going to be really successful and fast and make a lot of money because we pay 50% flat, like 50% commission, like it's yours plus a base or whatever. So it's very lucrative to be on the Jaffery side because we have built this funnel for the last 10 years of these lenders and real estate agents and financial and our existing clients funnel the business to us because we know that we're going to close that at a very high percentage.
Right. Well, and it's, the reason you're there is like, I mean, yeah, I know that they're calling and asking, right? But like, if you're not writing good business or if you're not helping a bunch of people, then it's not going to work, right? So obviously, there's proof in the pudding there for you guys as well, is that you know your stuff, right? And I think that's super important that, a lot of people will miss this. They're going out and asking for the business. I kind of talk about this and maybe kind of tie this together, but just having something like a congruent business model. Like a lot of people go out and they'll go get 20 real estate agents, but they're a
Yeah.
one man, one woman shop, and they
Yeah.
just burnt more bridges than they built. Even if maybe they do know how to quote and they've got all the carrier access, now you just burnt more bridges because you're not going to be able to be as efficient to be able to handle those, right? And I think that's super important.
Joe, they will remember that they will never do business with you again. I mean, I can
Yep.
guarantee you that because if they had a bad experience, whether it was onboarding or whatever that was, whether you helped their client and you didn't do a good job, you can do a good job 30 times, but the one time you mess up, man, that's going to cost you quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
So my team knows lenders, real estate agents, or any of our clients, man, there is no room for mess ups. Like we have got systems and processes in place to where like it's dialed in, dude. Like the way you
Yep.
answer the phone call, the way you end the phone call, the way you get Google reviews, the way you do all these things, it's got to be systematic because we're dealing with our average house at Jaffery Insurance is about 550,000. So we're not dealing with, and in Nebraska, that's really good because our average house is about 300,000. So we're dealing with a lot of higher end net
Everybody.
worth clients,
Good.
and we got to give them the experience they want because if you don't, somebody up the street's going to do it
Somebody else will.
on a daily basis, and so you got to go get them.
Yeah, it's good, man.
Well
Gosh,
said.
I freaking look up. It's like, oh, we're already at 50 minutes. I'm like, dang, dude, we are gonna have to keep this going, man. But no, real quick, Cyrus, just to again respect everybody's time here. We typically go for 45 to 50 minutes here. Just how can they find you? Maybe shout out the podcast again. How can they reach out if they've got anything? But really appreciate you for taking the time, brother.
You got him, man. Hey, if you could do me a favor, man, you could like my podcast. I really encourage your producers and yourself, if you're in the business, to check it out, see what you think, give me some feedback, man. I'm always one of those guys that like, if you just started in the business, you're 23 years old, I'm gonna learn from you more than you're gonna learn from me just in one conversation. So please reach out. You can email me, cyrus@teamcyrus.com, or you can call me myself, 402-213-9890. Our podcast is called Win the Day. It's on Spotify, Apple, all those places. Check it out. See what you think. And do me a favor, man. I don't need anything other than just go freaking win the day, man. We're all above the ground today. There's 150,000 people that did not make it today.
Mm,
And you're in here for a reason. Go make a difference, man. Do some shit.
let's go. Let's do some shit. That's how we do it,
Well
baby.
said, sir. Well said, man. Thank you for coming on. It's been a huge pleasure. Thank you.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Yep. Thanks, Cyrus.
Absolutely.
Take care, man.
All right, syndicate members, we love you guys. We appreciate y'all. It's been an amazing episode. Gosh, that one was, man, I was not expecting that. I could have kept going, but thank you guys so much. Hey, it's Wednesday, right, Merwin? It's Wednesday. It's time. Hey, we got to
Wednesday.
kick it into overdrive, baby.
Yeah. Put it down. Let's go. The weekend's
go.
almost here, but can't slow down yet.
Come on now. All right, syndicate members, have a good one, y'all.
Insurance syndicate, make sure you remember the